Giannis Antetokounmpo is no stranger to greatness, but this season he's reaching an entirely new level. With more than half of the NBA season still ahead, Giannis has already established himself as one of the frontrunners for the MVP award. Night after night, he delivers performances that leave fans, analysts, and opponents in awe, and it's time to dive into exactly why this season might be one of his best yet. Let's start with the numbers. Giannis is averaging a staggering 32.7 points per game, 11.6 rebounds, and 6 assists. These aren't just impressive stats, they're career highs in scoring for him, and those 32.7 points per game make him the leading scorer in the league. What's even more remarkable is how efficiently he's putting up these numbers. Giannis is playing just 35 minutes per game, yet he's outscoring players who log significantly more time on the court. Among the top 15 scorers in the league, only 2 others are averaging fewer than 35 minutes per game, making his efficiency truly stand out. A significant portion of Giannis's points comes from his ability to get to the free throw line, a skill he has mastered over the years. He leads the league in free throw attempts per game with 11.3, showing just how difficult it is for defenders to contain him without fouling. And then there's his dominance in transition, a part of his game that strikes fear into defenses league-wide. When Giannis is barreling down the court or driving to the rim in the half court, stopping him feels like an impossible task. Teams have tried to counter this with strategies like the infamous wall defense, where multiple defenders form a compact barrier to slow him down in transition. While this tactic might disrupt Giannis for a possession or two, it's far from a long-term solution. His combination of strength, height, and athleticism is simply too overwhelming. If you try to double or triple team him, he'll exploit you with his improved playmaking. His 6 assists per game this season, the second best mark of his career, highlight how much his court vision and basketball IQ had developed over the years. But it's not just his passing, it's his efficiency that stands out. Giannis is shooting a career-best 61.3% from the field, surpassing his previous high of 61.1% set last season. To put this in context, among players who attempt at least 8 field goals per game, Giannis leads the entire league in efficiency. It's clear that not only is he dominating, but Giannis is doing so in the most effective way possible. Even though the Milwaukee Bucks haven't had their best season so far, Giannis has continued to perform at an all-time high, carrying his team on both ends of the floor. While Giannis's offensive game often grabs the headlines, his defensive contributions deserve just as much attention. To truly appreciate his impact on this end of the floor, let's go back to the preseason. Before the 2024-25 season began, NBA general managers participated in their annual survey, answering various questions about the upcoming year. One question asked which player was the most versatile defender in the league. The results? Giannis was the top choice, with 17% of GMs selecting him over elite defenders like Victor Wembanyama, Bam Adebayo, Drew Holiday, and Jonathan Isaac. For anyone who has followed Giannis's career, this isn't surprising. His defensive versatility is unparalleled as he's capable of guarding all 5 positions on the court. Whether he's locking down a guard on the perimeter, contesting shots at the rim, or sprinting back to contest a 3-point attempt, Giannis consistently showcases his ability to impact the game defensively in ways few players can. The Bucks primarily use Giannis as a help defender, often positioning him to guard the corner man. From there, he can survey the floor, ready to step in and contest drives to the rim. His unique combination of length and quickness allows him to cover an incredible amount of ground. For example, when a teammate gets beaten off the dribble, Giannis is quick to rotate over, protect the rim, and, if necessary, sprint back to contest a kick-out 3-point attempt. This strategy works particularly well because of Giannis's athleticism. Compared to Brook Lopez, who is typically positioned as the team's primary rim protector, Giannis's speed enables him to recover to the perimeter more effectively. This dual threat ability, defending both the paint and the arc, is something few help defenders can replicate. To illustrate Giannis's defensive brilliance, let's look at 2 specific plays that showcase his length, quickness, and basketball IQ. In the first example, Giannis is guarding Lauri Markkanen, who is stationed in the corner. Markkanen, a sharpshooter, is hitting 37.6% of his threes this season on high volume, making him a legitimate threat from beyond the arc. As the play unfolds, Bobby Portis and Taurean Prince miscommunicate on a pick and roll, leaving John Collins wide open at the high post. Recognizing the mistake, Giannis begins to rotate to help. Giannis's initial help defense forces Collins to pass the ball out to Markkanen, who smartly relocates from the corner to the wing for a better angle. What should have been an open three-point shot for Markkanen turns into a tightly contested attempt, as Giannis uses his long strides to sprint out and close the gap in an instant. The result? A miss. This sequence highlights not only Giannis's speed and length, but also his awareness and timing. Now let's move to the second clip. This time, the Pistons are running a pick and roll between Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren. The Bucks are in a drop defense, with Brook Lopez sagging back to protect the rim. However, Damian Lillard gets caught up in the screen, leaving Lopez in a 2-on-1 situation against both Cade and the rolling Duren. Sensing the mismatch, Giannis rotates over from the weak side, effectively turning the 2-on-1 into a 2-on-2. This help defense nullifies the Pistons' initial advantage, forcing Cade to kick the ball out to Giannis's original man, Tim Hardaway Jr., on the wing. Just like in the first clip, Giannis quickly recovers, sprinting out to contest what would have been an open three. His ability to switch from paint protection to perimeter defense in the blink of an eye is nothing short of extraordinary. These plays are just small examples of what Giannis does on a nightly basis. His defensive versatility, coupled with his incredible physical attributes and high basketball IQ, make him a generational talent. It's no wonder NBA GMs consistently rave about his ability to impact the game on both ends of the floor. When you talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo's offensive game, one word comes to mind: unstoppable. He's a force of nature, a player who redefines dominance every time he steps on the court. Some might even argue that Giannis is the most dominant offensive player in NBA history. Why? Because his combination of size, strength, and speed makes him an unsolvable puzzle for defenses. He's a nightmare matchup, no matter how you look at it. What's fascinating about Giannis, though, is that if you break his game down on paper, you'll find what appear to be glaring flaws. His three-point shooting? Below average. His free throw shooting? A consistent struggle. Yet when you see him in action, those weaknesses almost seem irrelevant. Why? Because the things he does well, his strengths, are so overpowering that they completely overshadow any shortcomings. Let's focus on one of those so-called flaws: free throw shooting. Giannis is currently shooting a career-low 61.4% from the line this season. For most players, that would be a huge issue, right? But for Giannis, it's just part of the story. Ironically, drawing fouls is one of his greatest strengths. He doesn't shy away from contact. In fact, he thrives on it. He doesn't let the fear of missing free throws dictate his game. Instead, he embraces the process, knowing that the more trips he takes to the line, the more points he racks up. Here's the proof. Giannis leads the league in both personal fouls drawn and free throw attempts. He's drawn 203 fouls this season and attempted 272 free throws, numbers that no other player in the NBA comes close to. And despite his struggles from the line, Giannis is still top 5 in the league for total free throws made. His mindset is simple, but effective. The more free throws you take, the more free throws you make. It's that relentless, fearless approach that sets him apart. Giannis understands that avoiding contact or playing timidly to hide a weakness would only make things easier for the defense. If he starts worrying about missed free throws and avoids drawing fouls, he'd essentially be handing the defense a free pass. That's not how Giannis plays. He knows that playing to his strengths, getting to the rim, drawing contact, and forcing defenses to foul is what makes him so effective. And so he leans into it, flaws and all. Most of Giannis's fouls come from his relentless drives to the rim, whether it's in transition or within the half-court offense. And let's be honest, trying to stop Giannis on a drive is like trying to stop a freight train. His length and speed make it nearly impossible for defenders to guard him without fouling. Picture this. A defender sees Giannis barreling toward the rim and instinctively reaches out, hoping to slap the ball away. But here's the problem. Giannis is a master at using his length to keep the ball out of reach. He'll stretch it to the side or hold it high above his head, far from any defender's grasp. And then there's the finishing. With Giannis's momentum, he's almost always in a position to dunk the ball. For defenders, this presents a lose-lose situation. If they don't foul, it's a guaranteed 2 points. If they do foul, well, Giannis heads to the line, where, despite his struggles, he still manages to make enough free throws to keep the scoreboard ticking. What's even more impressive is how this strategy forces defenses into constant foul trouble. Players who guard Giannis end up collecting fouls quickly, which not only limits their playing time, but also disrupts the entire defensive scheme. And Giannis knows this. He uses it to his advantage, attacking relentlessly, knowing full well that no one in the league has found a consistent answer to stopping him. Giannis doesn't just play basketball, he imposes his will on the game. His flaws, rather than being liabilities, become almost inconsequential in the face of his overwhelming strengths. He's a player who understands his identity, embraces his weaknesses, and uses his strengths to dominate in ways that are both simple and extraordinary. This is why Giannis is such a unique player. He doesn't just beat defenses, he breaks them. Every drive, every dunk, every trip to the free throw line is a reminder of why he's one of the most unstoppable offensive forces the game has ever seen. And while his game may not be perfect, it's his ability to thrive despite those imperfections that makes him truly special. When it comes to evolution in basketball, few players embody the concept of growth and adaptation like Giannis. Known for his dominance in the paint, relentless athleticism, and unmatched ability to attack the rim, Giannis has always been a force to reckon with. But this season, he's added a new weapon to his arsenal that's turning him into an even more unstoppable offensive juggernaut: the mid-range jumper. Let's dive into just how good Giannis has been from mid-range, why defenses can no longer afford to give him space in this area, and how this new layer to his game makes him arguably the most complete offensive player in the league. First, let's talk some numbers. This season, Giannis is shooting an impressive 46% on mid-range shots, averaging 4.2 attempts per game. To put that in perspective, he's converting at a higher rate than some of the league's most renowned shot makers, including Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray, and Anthony Edwards. Last season, Giannis only shot 36.1% from mid-range on 2.4 attempts per game. That's a significant leap in both efficiency and volume, showcasing the incredible strides he's made in this area of his game. He's not just taking more shots from mid-range, he's taking the most on his team. Yes, you heard that right. Giannis is attempting almost double the mid-range shots per game as Damian Lillard, one of the best shooters in NBA history. What's behind this transformation? It's no secret that Giannis worked tirelessly in the offseason to refine his mid-range jumper. Videos from his summer workouts showed him repeatedly drilling pull-ups, turnarounds, and face-up jumpers, often under intense pressure simulations. The results are now clear for everyone to see. His mechanics look smoother, his release quicker, and his confidence in these shots undeniable. This isn't a player settling for mid-range attempts, it's a player actively seeking them out as a reliable scoring option. For years, opposing teams have dared Giannis to take mid-range shots, packing the paint and challenging him to beat them with something other than his rim attacks. That strategy worked to an extent in the past, but it's becoming a liability now. With his newfound consistency from mid-range, Giannis is punishing defenders who sag off. He's drilling pull-ups when defenders go under screens, nailing fadeaways over smaller opponents in the post, and knocking down face-up jumpers when given even a sliver of daylight. Teams can no longer simply wall off the paint and hope for the best. Giannis is making them pay for their hesitation. The ripple effect of this improvement on the Bucks' offense is profound. With Giannis now a legitimate mid-range threat, defenses are forced to stretch themselves thinner. Bigs who drop in pick-and-roll coverage risk giving up an easy 2 points. Help defenders hesitate to collapse on his drives, fearing a quick pull-up jumper instead. This spacing not only benefits Giannis, but also opens up opportunities for his teammates. Shooters like Chris Middleton and Damian Lillard find themselves with cleaner looks from deep, while cutters like Bobby Portis get more room to operate inside. Perhaps the most exciting aspect of Giannis's improved mid-range game is what it means for his overall offensive dominance. We've always known Giannis as one of the most physically imposing players in the league. A player who could bully his way to the rim at will. But now, with a reliable mid-range jumper, he's virtually unguardable. Defenders face an impossible choice: crowd him and risk getting blown by, or give him space and watch him rain in jumpers. It's the type of versatility that only a handful of players in NBA history have possessed. And it's what's pushing Giannis into rarefied air as an offensive force. Defenses need to wake up. Giving Giannis open mid-range looks is no longer a viable strategy. It's a recipe for disaster. And for the rest of us, it's just another reason to appreciate the greatness of the Greek Freak, a player who continues to push the boundaries of what's possible in the game of basketball. While his mid-range game has been a nightmare for opposition defenses throughout the league, yet another fascinating aspect of Giannis's offensive arsenal this season has been his dominance in the post. We're diving into just how incredible Giannis has been as a post-up player, and why this has become a go-to weapon for the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's start with the numbers. Giannis ranks third in the entire NBA in post-up possessions per game, averaging 4.5 per contest. That's no accident. The Bucks have made it a focal point of their offense because they know exactly what they have: a player who can't be stopped when he gets the ball in the post. Think about it. When you've got a cheat code, you use it, and that's exactly what Milwaukee is doing. Efficiency-wise, Giannis is putting up 0.94 points per possession on post-ups. Sure, it's a slight drop from last season's 1.01 points per possession, but let's not get hung up on that. Numbers only tell part of the story. What truly sets Giannis apart is his versatility in these situations. First, let's talk about his strength. Giannis is 6'11", with a frame that's both powerful and explosive. When smaller defenders try to guard him in the post, they're basically signing up for a one-way ticket to the highlight reel. Giannis methodically backs them down, using his incredible lower body strength to carve out space until he's positioned perfectly for an easy bucket. It's almost unfair. But Giannis isn't just bullying smaller defenders. His height, wingspan, and touch around the rim make him just as deadly against bigger opponents. Whether it's a smooth hook shot, a turnaround jumper, or a clever bank shot, he has the skill set to score over anyone. And that's before we even talk about his footwork, which continues to improve every season. And then there's the playmaking. This is where Giannis truly transcends the typical post-up player. His basketball IQ and vision are off the charts. When defenses collapse to double team him, which, let's face it, they almost always do, Giannis doesn't panic. Instead, he uses his height to survey the court and find the open man. Whether it's a shooter on the perimeter or a cutter slashing to the basket, Giannis turns post-up possessions into team-wide scoring opportunities. So, how do you stop Giannis in the post? Spoiler alert, you don't. Single coverage is a recipe for disaster, and doubling him only plays into Milwaukee's hands. He isn't just a scorer down low, he's a playmaker, a problem solver, and a force of nature. Giannis in the post isn't just an offensive weapon for the Bucks. He's a statement that screams, "We have one of the most dominant players on the planet, and we're going to use him to crush you." Whether he's backing defenders down, scoring over the top, or dishing dimes to his teammates, Giannis's post-ups are a cornerstone of Milwaukee's success this season. And as the Bucks continue their quest for another championship, you can bet Giannis's dominance in the post will continue to be a key factor. Another aspect of Giannis's game that often flies under the radar is just how elite he is as a screener. And this season, it's been one of the Milwaukee Bucks' deadliest weapons. Let's break it down. The Bucks have leaned heavily on using Giannis in pick and rolls and handoffs. Why? Because it is one of the most effective offensive plays in their playbook. Pairing Giannis with Damian Lillard has created one of the most unstoppable offensive duos in the league. Dame currently ranks 5th in the NBA in pick and roll possessions per game, logging 10.5 possessions a night. And guess who's usually the screener? Giannis. The Greek Freak's ability to create advantages in these actions is second to none. Here's why it works so well. Giannis's gravity as a screener forces defenses into impossible decisions. If defenders focus too much on Dame, Giannis can slip the screen or roll to the rim, and once he gets the ball with a free lane, it's game over. Giannis is nearly unstoppable attacking the rim. But if the defense collapses on Giannis, his IQ comes into play. He's become exceptional at reading the coverage, whether it's making the quick pass to an open shooter, finding a cutter for a hockey assist, or kicking it back out to Dame to reset the action. The numbers back it up. Giannis is averaging an impressive 1.05 points per possession as the screener in pick-and-roll actions this season. That's elite efficiency, especially for a big man who's also handling a massive offensive load in other areas. And it's not just about Giannis. Dame is thriving too. He leads the entire NBA in points per possession as a pick-and-roll ball handler. That's no coincidence. The attention Giannis demands as a screener opens up space for Dame to either pull up for his signature deep threes or attack downhill. Simply put, this two-man game has been the Bucks' go-to offense this season, with Giannis setting monster screens and making smart reads, and Dame orchestrating from the perimeter. Milwaukee's pick and roll is a nightmare to guard. It's a symphony of skill, power, and basketball IQ, and it's fueling the Bucks' offensive dominance. At this point, it's undeniable. Giannis Antetokounmpo is firmly in the MVP conversation this season. On defense, his ability to rotate, anticipate, and perfectly time his help is second to none. And on offense, there's not much left to say. Giannis is simply an unstoppable force of nature. Whether he's bulldozing his way through the paint, Euro-stepping past helpless defenders, or igniting fast breaks, he's making it clear to everyone. This is his league, and he's not slowing down. What's even more impressive is how Giannis has carried the Milwaukee Bucks through a roller coaster start to the season. After a sluggish 2-8 start, many were quick to question whether the Bucks were still championship contenders. But since then, they've flipped the script, going on an incredible 14-5 run and proving why they were preseason favorites to make another deep playoff push. And Giannis, he's been at the center of it all, driving their resurgence and putting the team on his back. And we can't overlook their crowning achievement so far this season, winning the NBA Cup. In the tournament, the Bucks had to face one of the league's top teams and championship favorites, the Oklahoma City Thunder. But with Giannis leading the charge, the Bucks looked like they were on a different tier to the Thunder. His relentless energy and sheer dominance propelled Milwaukee to victory, giving them a much-needed boost in confidence as they continue their regular season campaign. Currently sitting at 16-13, the Bucks are beginning to look like the powerhouse team we all expected. But make no mistake, Giannis isn't satisfied yet. He's playing like a man on a mission, determined to bring Milwaukee back to the Eastern Conference Finals and perhaps all the way to the NBA Finals. For that to happen, there's still work to be done, but if there's anyone you can count on to rise to the challenge, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. And let's talk about the MVP race. Giannis's case grows stronger with every passing game. His impact is felt on both ends of the floor, and his ability to dominate in every facet of the game is unmatched. Whether it's his jaw-dropping defensive plays or his relentless offensive pressure, Giannis is showing us all why he's one of the most complete players in NBA history. With 2/3 of the season left, the Greek Freak has plenty of time to cement his case as the league's most valuable player. So what do you think? Is Giannis the frontrunner for MVP in your eyes? How far can the Bucks go in this year's NBA playoffs? And here's a big one. Is Giannis the most dominant offensive force the NBA has ever seen? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this, and share your predictions for the rest of the season. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.